evening, friends, and welcome to the latest edition of Explore Richland. What an amazing view up here. I'm Mark Ingham, Cable Production Specialist for the City of Richland, and we are exploring a brand new hiking trail located right here in Richland, Washington. Now, to understand all the passion, the blood, the sweat, and the smiles that went into the creation of this trail, we have brought on Sharon Grant, who is the director and co-founder of the Friends of Badger Mountain. Sharon, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
All right, well, thousands of people will visit Badger Mountain each year, located over there a little bit,
Yes.
and it's one of the most popular recreational destinations in the entire region, but all may not be aware of the group that's behind it. So what can you share with us a little bit about the Friends of Badger Mountain?
Well, Friends of Badger Mountain we were all members of the Intermountain Alpine Club, a local outdoor recreation club, and we were all hikers, and hikers like to go up. And one of the things that we saw just by hiking around in this vicinity is that we were beginning to lose access to the ridges. And we thought, let's see if we can do something to preserve the access. We didn't only want to just be able to hike, but we also loved the viewscape that the ridges provided, kind of an iconic way to identify what this area is. So we did form a group, and that was in January of 2003. And we learned that some land was for sale on Badger Mountain. Got the land purchased in June of 2005, 574 acres.
Wow.
So that was our first big success.
Well said, Sharon, and I know it's hard to sum up 14 years of passion into a soundbite. And if you at home would like more information on the Friends of Badger Mountain, visit the web link at the bottom of your screen. And your group has dedicated a lot of time and effort to Badger Mountain, but today we're talking about a brand new trail kind of across the freeway here on Candy Mountain. And so Sharon, share with us the history kind of behind the making of Candy Mountain Trail.
One of the things that Friends of Badger Mountain saw is that we wanted to see, could we create a trail that would link across the four ridges that we have here locally? And so we formed that vision. That would be 20 some miles of trails. And then we got about where can we eventually succeed on the next big step. We did buy more land on Badger to make the preserve ever larger, but we also then saw that there was some land for sale on Candy. We're all volunteer. We're nonprofit. As a nonprofit, we can only pay appraised value. So again, we were lucky. We got two landowners with almost 200 acres of land that were willing to work with us, and that we then did come to an agreed upon price. And again, this had to be through the county because it was in their jurisdiction. And we raised money from the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office along with the county. And we again raised that money in relatively record time, $1.5 million by the end of 2015.
Wow.
And and then we were able to acquire then the 195 acres in 2016, and now we have built the trail.
Wow, that's amazing, amazing. Well, now we're excited to welcome Kent Rickard onto the program. Kent is a dedicated volunteer with the Friends of Badger Mountain. So dedicated that some even call you a lieutenant. So we'll get into that later maybe, but Kent, we brought you on to talk about the strategy of designing and creating the pathway up Candy Mountain.
The first step, of course, is to decide where to build the trail. We had two major constraints. One, to keep it at a 10-degree grade. The second was how to fit it in between the odd-sized parcels of land that we had been able to purchase. And the next step was we hired an excavator, and we had a group of volunteers who would run shifts using the excavator. It was an expensive piece of equipment, so we wanted to keep it going morning and afternoon. They cut the rough trail, removing what rocks they could. Then the hardest part of the construction was actually going back over what the excavator had done, bringing the dirt back onto the trail that it had dug out, removing the really, really big rocks,
Yes.
some of which we're just now passing. And then basically smoothing out the surface. The final stage was to put down the gravel. We put down a total of 170 tons of gravel in about 2 weeks. and mainly because we had rented a gravel hauler that would hold quite a bit. We'd fill up the gravel hauler at the place where the dump truck would dump a bunch of gravel, and then we would run the hauler along the trail, spreading it as we went. Then there were several guys who would follow behind that, raking and smoothing out the gravel. But the hardcore group of people that built the trail worked during the week, and then the big work groups of other volunteers would come in during the weekend. The hardcore group were mostly over 60, by the way.
Yep. Well, Sharon, this is an absolutely gorgeous hike. This is the very first time I've had the privilege to hike the Candy Mountain Trail. And I was just hoping you could share with our viewers just some of the sights, some of the sounds you can see and hear as you're on this trail.
Well, one of the things that I think is so neat about the concept of doing a trail across all ridges is that with each ridge has its own very special habitat and viewscape. You see beautiful landscapes down into West Richland and into agriculture land on the other side.
Yes.
But right here now we're seeing some of the flowers that are native to the ridges, the grasses, the sagebrushes, and then the wildlife. I've seen years ago coyote on here, even a great big horned owl.
Wow.
That was lovely. And then there's the different kinds of birds, including the larks, meadowlark and hornlark and the chukars. And we are just getting familiar with this land and this trail. But the other really valuable thing here about Candy that makes it actually unique in the ridges is it probably has some of the best collection of the Ice Age erratics that came down, from Canada, in the Ice Age floods. And so there's quite a lovely collection of erratics on the mountain.
You bet. Yeah, just a spectacular and beautiful walk. Well, wow, what an amazing and gorgeous hike down Candy Mountain we just experienced. And now we're at the parking lot, and this is a very important feature to the trail. And so why is this so important that the visitors who come visit Candy Mountain use this parking lot?
Well, one of the things that we saw that we needed to do was to be very good neighbors and to be very thoughtful about the people who have their homes here. And this parking lot then, this has to do then with the size that it was built, the quality in which it was built, the signage that went up, and then the way we're protecting the edges of it. And then we're even actually made sure that we didn't interfere with the beautiful mature sagebrush that was here. And we have planted some new sagebrush along the edge of the parking lot between that and the road. And that's all about, again, our good neighbor policy to make sure we want all the users of the Candy Mountain Trail to park in the parking lot, not along the roads. Be thoughtful of the neighbors. Don't interfere with their ability to get in and out of their homes.
Well said, and that's a very important thing to note, that when you come here, park at this trail, and you just have a little bit of a walk to get to the trail.
Right.
Do not keep driving and try to get closer to the mountain before you get out of your car, because you came here to hike anyways, right?
Yes. Right.
Exactly. We've had a fantastic time visiting Candy Mountain and experiencing this trail for the first time, and I strongly encourage you to come out and experience it for yourself. I'd like to thank Sharon Grant and Kent Richard for coming on the program today and talking about this new pathway. And of course, if you would like more information on the Friends of Badger Mountain, please go visit the link at the bottom of your screen. And I would like to remind you that if you're not following and interacting with us on social media, I strongly encourage you to log on and follow and like us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We're always sharing tons of important information on our social media platforms. And I'm Mark Ingham, and I want to say thank you for spending some time with me on this edition of Explore Richland.